Okay, so we were just talking about doing this. So as he said, well, this hasn't been written yet, or he hasn't shown us what this is exactly, but presumably what it's going to do is refresh these. This is one of his books, and this is another of his books. Now you might have different books, or you might be on a different website, so this may not even apply to you. But I believe that this refresh sheet is getting new data from Amazon. In other words, remember that we call a URL Amazon's URL, and then we get all that data, and we store it on that one page which we called stats. So maybe Amazon has changed the page in the last hour or so, and so he just wants to get the new data. So he'll do something to get that new data, do something to refresh the sheet. So just going back to this stats page here in this workbook contains that data, and then maybe he wants to just get a new set of data in here, so he has to refresh it. Okay, so let's look at the next line of code, which I guess is here. So he's assigning something to this variable, the variable that he declared earlier, which is called next row. And I guess since it's called next row, that it's going to have a row number in it. So this is how he does that. So you have to do this workbook, then you have to say sheets summary. So this is going to be in the summary sheet. Now which one was that? I don't think I had that, did I? No, but we're going to have a sheet called summary as well, and he's going to do this in the summary sheet. Actually, this is the summary sheet, right? This is the one that we've looked at the sheet several times already. This is called the summary sheet. Maybe I'll put one in even though I don't know what's supposed to be in there yet. So I have a sheet called summary. So he's doing something in the summary sheet, and then cells row count, comma 1, and then this thing, and then row. Okay, so let's read what this is about. A row plus 1. This is plus 1. By the way, this just means that this line continues over to here. So that's not really in the code. It's just on this in this text here. Okay. So he says the code needs to find the next available row on the summary sheet. So all he's talking about is, so like this is the 5,238th row, and there's more rows down here, and we just need to get to the last one. In fact we just want to know what it is. What's the last row in our summary sheet that we're using right now? So he says the code needs to find the next available row, in other words, the next blank row, the first blank row on the summary sheet, so that it can write the new data from the queries. Queries means when we're going to query Amazon, we're going to go to Amazon's page and copy the data to the sheet without overwriting the existing records. We don't want to write it on the same line as something that's already there, because when we'd lose that line, we'd lose that data. Here's how it does that. So now he's going to explain this code here. If you're using an Excel worksheet directly, one of the ways to, let me just show this. One of the ways to move around is with Ctrl plus arrow, where arrow means up or down arrow. So let's just try that out. So let's suppose I go to here and here. Let's suppose I go to here, and I'm going to hit the Control key, and now I'm going to hit the arrow key. Okay, so what did it do? Right now it's at 263. Now I'm going to hit the Control key and the up arrow key. So what is that? Okay, so what it's doing is going to the very end, or I'm sorry, it's going to the place to the last place before there's a blank line. So there's not a blank line here, that's in there. Not a blank line here, not a blank line here, not a blank line here, not a blank line here because this is there. Not, 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 but that is a blank line. So if I go here, and now I'll do it again, I'll hit the Control key and the down arrow. It goes just to the end of where there's, before there's a blank line. Let's see if I hit it again, where's it going to go? To there. If I hit it again, where's it going to go? So it's at 265. It's at 289. So 265 is up here. So apparently there are no blank lines until the one after this. Okay? So that's what Control Arrow does. I could do Control Arrow up and it would do the same, basically the same thing, right? Like that. If you're using the Excel worksheet directly, in other words, if you're not using the code, if you're not coding, if you're not doing VBA, one of the ways to move around is with Control plus arrow, where arrow means either the right or left arrow, actually, oh sorry, up, down, right, or left. If the active cell is in a column of data, for example, you can find the last contiguous non-empty cell with Control down. That's what we did. The last continuous non-empty cell. If you're at the bottom of a column, okay, let's try that. Oh, sorry. Such as that, and the cell is empty, you can find the lowermost non-blank cell. Oh, so here, let's try that. So let's go all the way down to the last. Well, okay. Here's what I'll do. I'm going to hit, I think, Control page, not page, Control End. Let me try that. I'm going to hit Control End, or maybe just End. No, End doesn't do it. Let's try Control End. No, that didn't do it. How about, how can I go to the last cell? Well, actually, I looked it up, and the Control End is supposed to take me to the last cell, but it doesn't seem to be working. I think. So here's an interesting Excel 2010 shortcut. So actually I was wrong. Control End moves to the last cell with content on a worksheet. Okay, well, I don't know how to go to the last cell, the very bottom of this spreadsheet, which is actually quite huge, bigger than what they were saying in that text, I believe. But anyway, suppose we're just here, and there's nothing, like, suppose we were all the way at the bottom, for example, which we can do with what he was saying. We can do with, your bottom of a column, something. Well, suppose you're here, and that cell is empty. You can find the lowermost non-blank cell. In other words, if we're here and we want to get to here, so what you can do is Control up arrow. I'll hit the Control and up, so it goes to there. Okay, so remember that. So he says using VBA instead of the keyboard, the way to, in other words, in our code, if we want to do that, the way to emulate that keyboard action is with the end property, not the end key. I was trying to work with the end key, which belongs to a cell object, really a range object, because a cell is a special instance of a range. So for those of you who know some VBA, you'll know what we mean by object, and actually ranges are a type of object, or let's see, cells are also a special, a type of object. So you know that when you learned Visual Basic, you learned that we could put different objects on our forms, like buttons and text boxes and things like that. Well, those are objects, and so is a cell. In an Excel spreadsheet, a cell is an object, so a cell has properties. In fact, a cell is a kind of a range, and a range has properties, but we haven't really said what a range is, so, but we know what we mean by cell. So let's see. So this is a cell. It's the location of a cell, which is a little bit complicated because this is not so clear, but this is the location of a cell actually. So just take that for granted right now. And so that is the cell, and so it has an end property. And the end property can take this argument, I guess, and that will tell it to go, like we said, that will do what we just said, the Ctrl Arrow. This will do the same thing, but it will do it by way of code. So let's see this, go back here. So we have this, and it has an end property. And then it's going to do that. It's going to go up to the first cell right there, and then so that's going to do that. And then what? Then we're going to get the row of that of this cell here, which is in this case 740. This is the row number. And then we're going to add 1 to that. So this is going to be a row, like 740, and then add 1 to it. So we're talking about 741 then, right? So next row is going to take the value 741. So next row is going to take the value 741, which is just what we wanted. We wanted to get the next row. So now we have it. In other words, what do? We go all the way down to the bottom cell, and then we do that Ctrl Arrow up, which takes us to here. We get the row number of this, add 1 to it, and that gives us here. So that's the lowest, that's the cell just at the end of the column, right? That's the idea here. So that takes VBA to the lowermost non-empty cell. The lowermost non-empty cell, assuming that as I do that the cell is defined by the final row of column A, that the cell defined by the final row of column A is itself empty. Actually, I don't know what he means by that, but okay. Then all I have to do is get the row where the non-empty cell is found. Add 1 to the row number, and I have the row number that I need to write into next. The result is assigned to this. So now this variable is storing or contains or holds the row that we want to write to. Okay, so that's the basic idea of this code. Okay, so you have to preface. Now we didn't explain this. Okay, let's look at VBA cells collection to review that. But let's stop this and go to let's break this video and start again.